Welcome back to Klepper's Corner. Today in history. Today is June 19th, a date when ideas keep leaving the seminar room and coming back wearing a crown, a uniform, or a suspiciously official stamp. Segment 1, and God gets a government office. In 325, Emperor Constantine convened the First Council of Nicaea because Christianity had gone from persecuted underground movement to empire-approved institution, and immediately did what every new committee does: split into factions and start arguing over definitions. Arius of Alexandria argued that Christ was created by God the Father and therefore not co-eternal with him, which sounds abstract until you remember Rome treated abstract theology like a zoning dispute with cavalry. Constantine wanted religious unity before disagreement became civil unrest. So bishops gathered, fought through fierce debate, and on June 19th rejected Arianism and affirmed the Nicene Creed, declaring God the Son to be of the same substance as God the Father. That is a profound doctrinal ruling, but it is also the moment the state basically said, good news, we now have an official position on eternity. And yes, there will be penalties. Arius and supporters were exiled because nothing says spiritual clarity like banishing the losing side to Illyricum. The irony is sharp. 5 centuries earlier, Eratosthenes used shadows and math to estimate Earth's circumference. And now another June 19th featured men using imperial authority to measure acceptable divinity. Same date, different instruments. One guy has geometry, the other has bishops and deportation orders. Nicaea gave Christianity a lasting doctrinal backbone, but it also created a political habit that keeps returning like a bad subscription. When leaders cannot tolerate uncertainty, they convert mystery into law and call it unity. Segment 2, and ambushes beat fancy paper crowns. History loves a man with a weak claim and a strong sense of timing. In Norway in 1179, King Sverre Sigurdsson led the Birkebeiners, a rebel force so poor their insult became their brand, birch legs, because they tied bark around their legs for warmth. Facing them was Earl Erling Skakk, the seasoned power behind King Magnus Erlingsson, a man so established he probably assumed rebellion came with office hours. After Erling's forces thought Sverre had fled from Nidaros, they relaxed, and Sverre doubled back under secrecy and hit them at dawn at Kalvskinnet. Erling was killed. Sverre took Trondelag, and freezing outcasts began becoming a real army. In Scotland in 1306, Robert the Bruce learned the darker version of that lesson. After murdering John Cummin in a church and crowning himself King of Scots, Bruce expected Aymer de Valence to fight by familiar chivalric rules near Methven. Instead, the English attacked at dawn while the Scots were unarmored, and Bruce's royal project collapsed so fast it looked less like a kingdom and more like a group chat that lost admin privileges. He was unhorsed, his allies were captured, his family suffered, and he became a fugitive. But that humiliation forced him to abandon ceremonial warfare and learn terrain, raids, and survival. Kalvskinnet and Methven remind us that power is not always held by the best-dressed army. Sometimes the future belongs to whoever wakes up earlier, moves faster, and realizes the rule book only matters if both sides are still pretending. Segment 3, and badges, boats, and empires with terrible planning. On June 19, 1269, King Louis IX of France turned religious exclusion into wardrobe policy by ordering Jewish men and women to wear a yellow badge in public. It was state-sponsored humiliation dressed up as moral order, the medieval version of saying, we just need everyone clearly labeled for harmony. And somehow, harmony always targets the same people. The badge normalized suspicion, encouraged denunciations, and even let accusers seize the clothing of those caught without it, because oppression gets more efficient when you add a rewards program. Then there is Roanoke in 1586, where England discovered colonization requires more than ambition, weapons, and the confidence of men who packed badly. Ralph Lane's colony ruined food supplies, alienated indigenous communities, escalated violence, and waited for rescue. Sir Francis Drake arrived after raiding Spanish ports, but a hurricane smashed the plan. And on June 19th, the colonists abandoned Roanoke, throwing records and scientific work into the sea, while hundreds of Africans and South American indigenous people brought by Drake were lost, drowned, or abandoned in the chaos. Both stories reveal the same ugly mechanism. Powerful people invent systems that make other people bear the cost of their fear. France built a legal costume for bigotry. England built an empire pilot program and treated human beings like excess cargo when weather and incompetence arrived together. A more honest archive might file these under bad ideas that became somebody else's emergency. Segment 4, and America writes rules, then finds the fine print. On June 19, 1846, modern baseball got its first officially recorded organized game at Elysian Fields in Hoboken, where the New York Knickerbockers tested tidy new rules associated with Alexander Cartwright. Before that, bat and ball games varied wildly and included the charming practice of getting runners out by throwing the ball directly at them, because early American recreation was apparently one missed throw away from witness testimony. Cartwright's rules introduced foul lines, 3 outs, base paths, and tagging instead of human target practice. Then the inventors of the refined system lost 23-1 in 4 innings to the New York Nine, proving that writing the rule book and surviving the game are not the same skill. 19 years later, in Galveston, Texas, Union Major General Gordon Granger issued General Order No. 3, finally announcing that enslaved people in Texas were free, more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. The order declared freedom, but also told the newly freed to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. One of the most American sentences ever written. Liberty is now official. Please continue producing value for the people who denied it. Many did not stay. They left to search for family, safety, and actual freedom, despite violence from former enslavers. Juneteenth became a celebration because liberation is not the moment a government prints the words. It is the moment people hear them, move, gather, resist, and make the paper real. America loves rules, but the real story begins when people test who the rules were written for. Segment 5, and rebrands, Red Scares, and scapegoats. In 1885, the Statue of Liberty arrived in New York Harbor in 350 pieces, packed into 214 crates. A perfect symbol of American freedom, because even Liberty showed up late, underfunded, and needing a public fundraising campaign. The pedestal was not finished, so the statue sat boxed while Joseph Pulitzer's newspaper raised money from ordinary workers and school children, proving democracy's grandest symbols are often completed by people with nickels, while elites give speeches about destiny. In 1917, King George V faced a branding crisis when World War I made his family's German name, Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, a liability, especially after German Gotha bombers attacked London. So the monarchy became the House of Windsor, a rebrand so successful it makes modern crisis communications look like a lemonade stand with a ring light. In 1953, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were executed at Sing Sing during Cold War panic, the first American civilians put to death for conspiracy to commit espionage, even as questions about fairness and Ethel's role would haunt the case for decades. And in 1982, Vincent Chin was attacked in Michigan by men who blamed him, a Chinese-American man, for Japanese auto imports and their own economic pain. His killers received probation and a fine, sparking a pan-Asian American civil rights movement. Across these moments, public fear keeps searching for a body to land on. An immigrant, a suspect, a foreign name, a minority community, a person made to represent a problem much larger than themselves. It is the oldest political magic trick. Rename the palace, punish the accused, blame the outsider, and hope nobody notices the system walking away clean. In conclusion, June 19th is a reminder that history does not repeat as neatly as people claim. It rhymes badly, with worse paperwork. Empires define belief. Rebels win by ignoring etiquette. Governments mark vulnerable people. Colonies fail upward. Freedom arrives late. And panic keeps asking for someone to blame. The comforting part is that people keep resisting the script. The uncomfortable part is that the script keeps getting reprinted.